Everybody, I don't know. Like always, I never know if this is working, so I'm gonna try and figure it out first. So if you're here right now, I got a notification, so I think it's working. Let me just turn down the volume. Okay, that was weird. Hello, is anybody out there? Let me know with the chat. Sandy's going to be helping me monitor the chat this evening. And if you are watching, let me know not only that you're watching, but where you're seeing it. Are you seeing this on Facebook? Are you seeing this on YouTube? Are you seeing it somewhere else that I don't even know? But anyway, yeah. So tonight I decided that I wanted to draw a snake. Oh, Melody Wolf. Hello, Melody. Looks like, are you watching on Mob Crush? Melody, that's the host I'm going through. Welcome, if you are. This is Creature Science Illustrated. It is my art channel. Oh, Facebook. Okay, Melody, that makes more sense. I'm just seeing through Mob Crush on there. Are you watching, Melody, are you watching on the Cruise Geeks Facebook page? Or are you watching on a different page? That's the other thing I need to figure out. Tonight I'm going to be drawing a snake. I just finished up Inktober, and one of my favorite drawings was Medusa. And one of my least favorite things about that drawing were the snakes that I drew. So Melody says yes. Yes, the Cruise Geeks page, Melody. I think that's what she meant. So I'm going to try and draw a snake. This time I'm going to use a reference. So I'm just going to sketch it out first. Cruise Geeks, thank you, Melody. Watching on the Cruise Geeks on Facebook. All right, so welcome if you're doing that. People can also, I believe, well, I know because I'm doing it, watch on Facebook. But yeah, so I wanted to do a snake drawing. Just because I need to increase my ability to draw snakes. I love snakes, and I work with snakes on a pretty much daily basis. I have a pet snake, and yet I don't really draw them ever. So that was a bit of a challenge for me. Actually, now this is a coral snake that I'm drawing, one of my favorite snakes. I'm just kind of getting some loose lines in here now. We'll see. I'm using a reference for this. The snake is kind of coiled up, going off this way.
Lawrence Klein is also watching.
Lawrence Klein. Facebook. Hi, Lawrence Klein. Welcome. Welcome aboard, Lawrence Klein. We'll see how this goes. I don't know if I'm going to color this or if I'm just going to do line work on it. I'm not sure. This is a really thick body for this snake, but we'll see how it ends up. Now, one thing I have discovered through these live streams, if you've ever watched me do this before, you'll know that it's really hard for me to think and draw at the same time. So Sandy kind of helps me with that a little bit, and Bob Ross teacher, hey, Michael Cruise Lover, and she helps me kind of navigate that. But if I say strange things, you're like, that makes no sense, dude. What are you talking about? That's why. Okay, that is what's going on. Is my brain cannot multitask in that way. So yeah, so I'm just kind of roughing in the shape of this snake. He's actually kind of going down this way and back, I think, in this reference picture. That I made the head too small here. Just increase that. Now, if you're curious, I'm using a program called Procreate, which is on the iPad Pro. It's on any iPad, but it works really well on an iPad Pro or the new generation iPad that isn't the new iPad Pro. Any of them basically that utilize the Apple Pencil. It works real well. I mean, you don't have to have an Apple Pencil, but it makes a huge difference if you do, because this is why. If I draw lightly, it's light. If I press down, it gets darker, and I can kind of make it darker as I go. And if I do the side, it gets thicker. And different brushes will behave differently. So what that does is it imitates sort of a more natural drawing experience, if you will, which makes a huge difference. Michael, you were on a cruise recently, right? I think you just got off a cruise not that long ago. I think you were before I was. If you're not familiar out there, I like to do these on Tuesdays because La Loca, the Lita Loca YouTube channel, cruising community, they do their live stream on Tuesday nights, and this is kind of the pre-show. Oh, Michael was on Vista from September 23rd. How'd you like the Vista, Michael? Because I've had a really good experience on the Vista and a meh experience, but the good experience was the more recent one, so that bodes well, I think. But I'm curious to see what you thought of her, because she's a pretty good. Loved it. Oh, good. I am so glad to hear that, because I really enjoyed my second time on the Vista. No complaints. That's awesome. Yeah, it's an impressive ship. It's got a lot going for it. Yeah, Melody, Tony, and Jenny are awesome. And of course, we just got off the cruise with them. Michael's going back in January on the Vista again. We just got off the group cruise, the first ever La Loca group cruise. Oh my gosh, was it a blast! Michael, are you going on the April group cruise? Or anybody else who is watching right now? Are any of you going on the next group cruise in April? I would like to know, because I really want to go on that cruise. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but you are going in April. That's awesome. I am doing everything in my power to get on that cruise, Michael. Sandy and I had so much fun on the group cruise. So many awesome people that we were like, we have to figure out a way to make that happen. Really, the challenge is getting off work. You need to tell your sister-in-law. Whoop, I missed that. Try to catch the one after that. Melody said, the problem is my chat things pop up while I'm drawing, but then they disappear faster than I'm able to read them. So I think Michael said something. Sandy, do you see what he said? Might have been on Facebook. All right.
You need to tell your sister-in-law to switch cruises and go on that one.
Oh, there you go. That I agree. Can we do that, Sandy?
What day in January, Michael?
We're going on a cruise with Sandy's sister in January, so I think he's saying switch that to the April one, but yeah, I think that's what he meant. So all right, so this is the coral snake, one of my favorite snakes, and I really like them because they're beautiful snakes and they're very misunderstood. That's what I thought. Yeah, Michael meant the April cruise. Very misunderstood snakes, as many snakes are very misunderstood. Yeah, we've talked about it, Michael. And so I want to give them a little love. So they are actually, coral snakes are in the same family as cobras and mambas and a lot of those snakes that have really potent venom and also bad reputations. But the reality is, it's very rare that you hear about coral snakes biting anyone, because they're very shy, really shy snakes. I mean, I am the person that will tell you that there are no bad snakes. There are snakes that will protect themselves if they feel threatened, but coral snakes are definitely not a snake that you need to worry about. And if you're doing like some gardening or something, you need to be a little careful, but they're just not aggressive animals at all. I have kind of worked with coral snakes a few times, and yeah, just not even a little bit aggressive. Okay, these bands are not in the right spot.
Melody said she wishes that she will try to catch the one after that.
Yeah. If I'm telling you, it was so cool. Like, we went to Nassau and Half Moon Cay, which are not, neither one of those are ports that we're like super fond of. I mean, we'll be honest here, but we had so much fun. I've never had so much fun in Nassau ever. Like it was, and it's because it's because of the group cruise. That's why it was so fun. It was all being with the group of people, and yeah, I just will keep blabbering about it because it was just so cool, and just meeting everyone. And you know, if you listen to the latest podcast, Tony and I kind of talk about where we were like, what's this going to be like? And Sandy and I too talked about it. You know, like we don't know these people. Are they going to be like? We're going to run into some strange people out there. Well, everybody was just a pleasure and just awesome, just really awesome.
Oh, Amanda Shows is
Oh,
watching with you on
Michael says,
Facebook.
just stop by, gotta run. Hey, Michael, thank you for stopping by. Hi, Amanda. How are you? Amanda, I have to apologize to you publicly. Sandy, do you know what I did to Amanda today?
No. What did you do to Amanda?
Amanda gave me some really good information today on the podcast. Tony and I talked about how they're jacking up the prices on the internet on Carnival, and I made a comment about, well, if you're gonna give me internet speeds like on Vista, then you know I might be okay with that. Well, what is going on with my scales here? But I didn't know that they were necessarily doing that. Well, apparently they are doing that. Amanda saw that. So what I did though is, I called her Roy. I called her Roy. I said, thanks, Roy. Like, you don't even have to say the person's name when you're thanking them on Facebook. For whatever reason, I was like, hey, thanks, Roy. And she's like, I'm Amanda. Hello. And I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't have anything else I have no excuses, Amanda. She even was trying to, like, she's like, well, it was early. I'm like, no, Amanda, I'm just an idiot. So it's just that I talk to Roy a lot. So, because Roy's awesome. And Amanda's awesome too. But I talk to Roy all the time. So when I see the name Shows, my brain just goes, oh, that must be Roy. But that was cool. I'm really glad that you told me that about the internet, because I did have the internet on Vista and it was really good. So, you know, if they're going to charge more for internet, I mean, whatever, you know, they're kind of, you get tired of them raising all the prices on everything. But I mean, if they're going to improve it like they did on Vista, then I would be happy to pay that, because it was really good. Now, if it's going to be like it was on some of the other ships I've been on, and now you're raising it, no, come on. That ain't working for nobody, okay? But, yeah. All right, so here is my coral snake. Now, let me ask you some snake questions out there. Does anybody know how you can tell if a snake is a venomous snake or non-venomous snake? Does anybody know any ways? And let me just warn you, it's kind of a trick question. So, but does anybody have any ideas how you can tell whether it's a venomous or non-venomous snake? Let me know. Comments below. Comment below. And I think I'm going to give this snake, I think I'm going to color this snake here. So we're going to switch to airbrush, and let's do the black first. I'm going to do it as a gray. That big here. Now, coral snakes have a color pattern that is fairly distinct. Isn't it the tail? So if it's a rattlesnake, you could go by the tail, Melody. However, rattlesnake rattles are made of keratin, which is like fingernail material, and they can break off. So you could have a rattlesnake without a rattle. So that is not a reliable way to tell if a snake is a dangerous snake. Now, I will say, If a snake has a rattle, then you definitely don't want to be bitten by that snake. So in that sense, yes, that is a good way to tell. But there are, of course, a lot of other snakes. Even in the United States, we have copperheads and cottonmouths and our coral snakes here that do not have a rattle, and their tails are pretty much indistinguishable. I mean, you could look at the scales. There is a difference between pit vipers, which is, except for the coral snake or your other venomous snakes in the United States, and there is a difference in the way the scales divide after the cloaca. But look, if you can see those, then it's too late to know if that snake is dangerous or not. So it's not the tail. I will say it sort of can be the tail. So I won't say you're wrong, but that won't always work. Let's say that it won't always work. All right. Mm-hmm. All right, so I like to put in my base color here. And I'm working, if you're not familiar with digital art, the cool thing about it is I drew the pencil lines on what's called a layer. And now I'm doing this color on the layer below it. And now I can actually make another layer and start coming in with like another color, which is what I'm going to do because I want to give this snake sort of its coral snake appearance. So they have this sort of kind of an orangey red color on them, and it's going to be this particular animal. Make it right in here, and these will sort of go back and forth a little bit. So what I mean by this is me talking while drawing, is that you will get alternating red, yellow, and black, or red, white, and black with most species of coral snakes. Now here's a misconception about coral snakes. I'm going to change this band up a little bit. People think that you can tell if a snake is a coral snake by the way those colors meet up. So there's a poem that goes red and black, friend of Jack, or sometimes I've heard red and black, venom lack, and red and yellow, kill a fellow. Well, that works sometimes if it is in the United States and that snake is born with perfect color pattern and you don't get the poem backwards and confused. Basically what I'm saying is don't go by that because it doesn't always work. There are a bunch of coral snake species and a lot of them live south of the Mexican border, Central America, South America, and there are coral snakes that don't play by those rules, and there are snakes that sometimes aren't born with perfect patterns, so it does not always work. Now, I will say this, if you see a snake that is brightly colored, it is a good idea to leave it alone, just like any other animal that you see that is brightly colored, because that is often what we call warning signs, warning colors, letting potential predators know you probably should not try and have me for lunch. But sometimes snakes are born imperfectly, so they might be born with missing a certain band, or they might be born with bands that are mixed up a little bit. So, or if you are in Mexico or Central America, there are coral snakes down there that are only red and black, and there's blue and black. So it doesn't always work. And whenever I ask that question, people often get it backwards. So I say, don't go by that one either. But that's another one I often hear. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of shadow to this red here. I'm using a slightly smaller brush. I'm just going to add in a little bit of detail as we go. I'm actually going to take this layer and I'm going to turn it down. That's another thing you can do with the digital here. Turn that down a little bit. Come through. Now, in the photograph I'm looking at, this reference, this is actually blurry in the background, so I might actually kind of go with that a little bit. We'll see. I also have to watch my time. Sandy, what time is it?
8:10.
8:10. Okay, so I want to be off of here by 8:30 because I like to go on to the Lalito Loca group or live stream ahead of time so I can talk to people, chat with people, especially this week because some of those people that were on the group cruise will be in there. Catch up with them and meet new people. And now another way that people think you can tell if a snake is a dangerous or venomous snake is by the shape of the pupils. And this is what you will hear people say. They will say if a snake has elliptical pupils, like a cat, that is a venomous snake. And if it has round pupils, it is a non-venomous snake. Well, here's the problem with that. Coral snakes have round pupils. Their eyes are almost all black anyway. All of our other North American venomous snakes do have elliptical pupils, and there aren't any non-venomous snakes in the United States naturally that have elliptical pupils. But cobras, mambas, a lot of venomous snakes in the world actually do have round pupils. And what I always tell people is this: if you are close enough to a snake to see what shape its pupils are, and you don't know if it's a venomous snake, then you are too close to that snake. So I wouldn't rely on that as a way to tell if snakes are venomous. Now, another thing you'll hear people say is you can go by the shape of the head. And they'll say, well, if its head shape is diamond or triangular, then that is a venomous snake. Well, that doesn't work either, because coral snakes have very round-shaped heads, much like the cobras and the mambas and all those animals. And a lot of non-venomous snakes will flatten their head, make them look triangular in the hopes to trick a predator into thinking that they are venomous when they are actually completely harmless. And it'll trick a human into thinking that they're a dangerous snake. So don't go by that either. The only reliable way to tell if a snake is dangerous is to study snakes and know your snakes. And that's it. That's the only way you're going to get an accurate tell if a snake is actually venomous or not. Other than that, you're just guessing.
Your Aunt Nancy is watching.
Hi, Aunt Nancy. All right. So we're going to be on here for a few more minutes, and then we're going to go to the Lalito Loca live stream. So I probably am not going to get this snake finished. I may work on it some more. Maybe I'll work on it another time on the live stream. I'm not sure yet how that'll play out. We'll just have to see. I do want to thank everybody that is watching tonight. I want to get a little detail on the head of this animal. Hello, Nancy. Because I want to at least kind of establish that a little bit here. So maybe I'll... Whoa, that's weird looking. So maybe I'll focus on that. But yeah, I was surprised, and some other people that I talked to were surprised when, I went to draw the snakes for Inktober on my Medusa, and I'm like, I don't really know what snakes look like. I mean, that sounds weird if you know me, because like I said, I do work with snakes on literally a daily basis, but there's a difference between, working with an animal and knowing what it looks like to draw it. And you really have to build up that sort of mental library for drawing. When you see people drawing just without a reference, in most cases, they've drawn that thing, whatever it is, lots and lots of times before. There are some people out there that can just draw without, really having to look at anything more than once or whatever, but those people are rare, and they are the exception to the rule. Not the rule, for sure. I gotta get rid of these lines so I could add some detail here. I think I'm going to go back to my pencil, though. I'm just going to kind of go in. Make that a little bigger. Kind of re-establish this eyeball here. How long have I been drawing, Melody? Do you mean this particular drawing? Or do you mean just drawing in general? Because I will answer both those, so that way we are covered. I've been drawing, I guess you could say since I was a kid. My Aunt Nancy, who's on here right now, can vouch for that. I've always loved drawing. My mom is very artistic, and I even kind of considered that as a career when I was younger. Art was kind of my thing. I kind of got away from that for a long time. I've kind of tried to get back into that more recently in my life. And if you're asking how long I've been drawing this snake, well, it's been however long this live stream's been going, which is probably about half an hour or so, roughly. Now I want to get this, I want to get harder lines in here because we are more focused on this part of the snake. So you're going to see like harder lines. So that's why I've kind of switched from what is considered an airbrush tool to a pencil tool. I don't want to go with like a super straight pixely line. I want to still kind of give it that traditional art look a little bit. And I'm only going to get that if I use these kind of materials, these kind of digital pens. This is me trying to talk and draw at the same time and failing miserably. So I'm selecting the color. See, I can select colors I'm basically holding down, but I actually want just kind of a black color. So I want to add a little more detail up here. You know what I'm going to do, Sandy? I'm going to, when I get off of this stream, I'm going to indulge in some of that bourbon that we bought in St. Augustine. Make an old-fashioned. We just got back from the group cruise, but then after the group cruise, we went to St. Augustine and went to a lovely bed and breakfast there called At Journey's End, which I will do a video review of on the Cruise Geeks channel soon. Lovely place, really highly recommend it. But St. Augustine was cool, and we did a distillery tour where they made bourbon and rum and vodka and gin. They made all those things, and I'm not really a vodka guy or a gin guy, but I do like bourbon and whiskey and stuff like that. So let's see. I think I need to add some. It's tricky to draw snakes too because there's all these scales. This is actually dark, and you don't want to draw every one of them. I mean, you can, but it's a lot. But you do want to represent them, or else you're going to lose your look as a snake. I'm going to pick this yellow color, but I'm going to just a little bit darker here. The other nice thing about drawing digitally is I can zoom in like that, which is really interesting because I did Inktober and I tried not to do too many digital drawings. I did a few, and what I found is that I was trying to you basically take your fingers and like spread to zoom in, just like a phone or something. And I would try and do that on the paper when I'd want. It doesn't work on paper. The other thing is, two finger tap will undo in most art programs on the iPad. Yeah, that doesn't work on paper either, as it turns out. But you get in the habit of doing that, and that's what happens. I'm going to switch back to my airbrush, but I'm going to go small, get that black. Just going to trying to capture more of this detail. Now, this is tricky because drawing this in like, this doesn't, looks like a blob, but then when you zoom out, it's starting to come together. But this airbrush will help me kind of blend some of these colors in a little bit. Too much white here. Yeah, there's going to be some videos coming out on the Cruise Geeks. If you do follow the Cruise Geeks, I just released that video of Kimbra's birthday boat adventure. That was from before the cruise. And I am going to be releasing soon some of our snorkeling adventures from Half Moon Cay on the cruise. Saw some really cool stuff. So definitely check that out if you like cruise creatures, because there's some epic ones. I'm going to blend this. What do I have this on? We need to make you an airbrush. But yeah, definitely check that out. See Sandy looking at the clock over there. What are we at?
8:22.
8:22. So we got a few more minutes here. And then when I get done with that, I'm going to try and get the St. Augustine vlog up, which is cool. We did a lot of fun stuff. So if you're here, you'll get watching this, listening to this, you'll get a preview here. I'll give you a little rundown of some of the stuff we did. So we did a ghost tour, which was really fun. Definitely the best ghost tour I've been on. Not even probably, because it was very theatrical and just a lot of fun. And we got to go into a wax museum, which was all kinds of creepy. So really good for a ghost tour. And then to like an old jail, which is also pretty darn creepy. So we did that. We went to this. There probably won't be a video for this. But we went to a medieval torture museum. It was Halloween weekend, so we were being a little bit macabre. It was interesting. Definitely not a place you want to take children to, but interesting all the same. And then we did the tour of the brewery that I mentioned, or the distillery. Thank you, Sandy. And then we also did what else did we do? We did oh, of course, how could I forget that? My Disneyland, the St. Augustine Alligator Farm. So if you are interested in crocodilians, you'll want to catch that, because you will get a guided tour of the crocodilians of the world. Oh, yeah, I know. I do need to do that. Put up the videos from the snorkeling, the whole like Aruba snorkel and the scuba. I haven't forgotten about those. In fact, they're on my short list. And I'm glad you said that, because I always wonder if anybody really wants to see those. Because I don't see that. Melody said that.
Oh, okay.
I always wonder if anybody like really wants to see that much snorkeling content from me, or if I'm just the only crazy one out there that likes that. But I think the plan is to knock that out after St. Augustine. I want to get these St. Augustine ones out, and then after that, I'm going to focus on those, because I want to use some of that footage for my snorkeling tutorial that I'm working on as well, which is taking me a lot longer than I originally thought I was going to, but I really want to make that good. So it's still mostly in the planning stages at this point, um, but yeah. So I am planning on trying to get those done after St. Augustine, and I'm hoping to knock St. Augustine out like um, hopefully by the end of next week. That's the goal. Okay, so now I've said it publicly. So Melody, if it's not out, then you contact me and give me a hard time about it. I didn't get a lot of content done in October because I was doing Inktober, and that was an ink drawing every day. So I'm making excuses right now. That's what I'm doing. But it took a lot of time. A lot of time to get all that done. All right, now let's see. I'm going to try and get a little more detail back behind that yellow band just to try and give this a little bit of closure at least. A little smaller. But what I need to do is just get like some harder edges on here, capture some of these scales, figure out how to represent this jaw going down here. When I look at my reference, this is like black under here. Why is dark now? Let's go all the way black here. And it does kind of get fuzzy again though. So I think what I'm going to do is
827.
827. So we're almost done. Let me just get a little bit more detail. See if I can just knock a little more detail out in here. And I'm going to smudge this a little bit. I'm going to go in with some highlights. This is kind of cool here. There's like some highlights on the edge here. And then these belly scales are coming around because the snake is kind of twisting around here. Just kind of see them coming in here like so. But then what's really cool is there's like, it's picking up some of the red. That's too much. It's too much. Some of the red from the, hey Don, from the other parts of the snake. And this highlight. That's the thing when you're drawing, like if you're drawing skin is a good example. People think skin and they draw it all, pretty much one color. But skin is not one color. Skin is made up of lots and lots of different colors. Oh, you saw a coral snake while you were hunting, Don? That's pretty cool. I love coral snakes. They're so shy and secretive. Like, I had an old timer herpetologist from Florida tell me he thinks they're one of the most common snakes in Florida, but nobody ever sees them because they're so shy. I don't know if that's true, but they are beautiful snakes, and I would like to see more of them. Now this I realize is wrong here. I need to change that up. I'm going to have to change some of these bands and stuff a little bit. I just got them wrong. But I don't want to spend too much time on that because we are almost out of time here. Don, if you just joined us, I'm going to turn it off in a minute so I can go over to Lalita Loca. I got a little bit of detail on the head. Didn't get as much done as I was